Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West, here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Oh, yeah. Let's get to it. Story number 1. JCC, the Jewish Community Center, will expand its learning center. The Vindicator has a staff report published December 30th out of Youngstown in what appears to be the Youngstown Area Jewish Federation expansion, because they received a grant for about $100,000 for their early learning center. Now, the article is a great read for those wanting to know more about what the center has to offer to the area, and it also highlights everyone involved going forward. The fact that the state continues to invest in education is what got this story in. That's story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2. Boardman fire crews see the worst. Marley Reichert has a report out of Boardman published December 31st, and it appears that a township woman was killed in a fire at her 1737 Nova Lane home, according to the Vindicator report. Now, the report informs the reader about a detailed 911 call that says that in the midst of the fire, the woman somehow got trapped in the blaze. She lost her life. Now, the woman was in her 60s or 70s, and the cause of the fire at the time that this report was released is unknown. This is almost a year after the last fatal fire in Boardman, which occurred in November of 2023, according to this story. Now, Boardman has been very, very active, if you did not know, in fire inspections, and really does try to stress fire safety. This is all while emergency crews continue to battle for support, because they're trying to get money, and thus getting the story into the top 8. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Big hit. Story number 3. $1.5 million study. David Scolding has a report published December 28th in what appears to be a study for a city safety campus. Now, what got the story in is the fact that $1.5 million has been spent on the study. Well, will be spent on the study. The article informs the reader on what is being done in the process of making this vision a reality, because the city is using American Rescue Plan funds to pay for this study. If that's what's in the report. Now, there is some back and forth mentioned in the article by Mayor Jamel Tito Brown, who is stressing the need for a police department upgrade, because they want to build a new police station, thus getting the story into the top 8. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4. Sewer rates go up in Louisville. Dan Pomley has a report out of Louisville explaining the increased costs, making water waste treatment more expensive, forcing the village to pass the cost on to the customer. Now, the report's main focus seems to be on laying out the road ahead when it comes to the load that comes with rate increases and how the added money will be used. Now, the article even informs the reader on the new cost and what was done in the past. Has been done in the past. Now, this all comes with EPA mandates, Environmental Protection Agency mandates, also mentioned in the report. Now, the article stresses what a lot of public service providers are emphasizing, and that is the growing need for patrons to pay their bills. That means that if you don't pay your bills, they don't get paid. That's why they have to go to these alternate resources, folks. This story is still developing. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5. The gun stories in Youngstown ending 2024. They continue into 2025. Ed Runyon has a report published December 31st out of Youngstown explaining how 2 men suffered non-life-threatening injuries on the city's south side in what appears to be another gun incident within city limits. Now, Youngstown continues to study all this, and they continue to stay in top headlines in the fight to end gun violence within the city. It's given the city a terrible reputation. Now, at the beginning of 2025, the gun stories the gun stories are still in top headlines. That's why story number 5 made it this week. Starting a terrible way to start out the year. Big. Story number 6. $2 million in MARCS. That's emergency stuff. Emergency a big centralized emergency system. Ed Runyon has a report published December 31st out of Youngstown. An article explains how Mahoning County will move forward with the Marks state sponsor system that allows emergency responders from different agencies to communicate directly through their radios instead of multiple dispatch centers, as stated in the report. Now, this can take place. This can take place anywhere in Ohio where they're using these radios. That means they're all tapped into one network. Now, the article is very informative and details everyone involved and where the money will be spent. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 and the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made it this week for you. Keep you informed. I do want to let you know that I do upload the show to the website on Monday. So if you don't get up this early, you can check out the show on Mondays. I do upload it in the mornings on Mondays to the website on our YouTube page. Story number 7. Retailers took a Christmas hit in Boardman. Dan Pompley has a report published December 27th in what appears to be some disappointments in holiday shopping in Boardman. The article goes the extra effort to put the reader inside of the minds of what retail used to be like in Boardman compared to now. The article even touches on some of the disaster stories that used to take place after the Christmas season shopping when it comes to customers returning items, folks. This is all in the middle of a Southern Park Mall transition to new ownership, but the article details current store situations in the transition around the holidays. Now, the article lays out a number of downsizing situations that have currently made headlines and even points out past and present comparisons when it comes to the current shopping trends. Now, overall, malls will have to adjust, and some are already adjusting to the new age of shoppers and how to get people to gather inside during the mall during any time of the year. Some people are even putting water slides in malls, folks. This story is still developing. So story number 7 also made to the top this week. Big headline. Story number 8 and the top local headline and developing news story that made it this week for you to keep you informed. If you do want to show some support, please do stop at the building, 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio, or you can take a stop on the website and buy something on the website. I do appreciate all the support that we do get for the show and the people who say I watch the show. So keep showing us some love. Story number 8. Moving forward with $2.7 million in ARP projects. Davis Golding has a report published December 27th in what appears to be $2.7 million in ARP projects planned, which include housing projects. This is pretty much all the article talks about when it talks about how they're going to spend this money. Now, it also points out in detail how the money will be spent in certain areas, folks, and where and what for. Now, the story is still developing, especially when it comes to housing. So we started to made to the top this week. Well, folks, are the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Tune in and don't forget to subscribe to Method 8 Inc. YouTube channel. You can also watch free public entertainment. And don't forget to show some support by visiting www.method8inc.com by buying something, clicking something, watching something, or just reading something. You can also sponsor a program as well. That's www.method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
What does Method8inc.com Media Center have that I need?
Small prints, event consulting, photography, business consulting, technical consulting, entertainment consulting, fundraising advice, event videography, movies, news, publishing, media, books, entertainment, acting, broadcasting, public relations, access to the visual and performing arts, ink and black ink refills, audio recording, graphic design, theater, minor computer and cell phone repair, and they're located at 5648 Market Street in Boardman, Ohio from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday. The list goes on and on.
Method8inc.com. Buy stuff, watch stuff, or read stuff.
Oh yeah! And yes, we are chipmunks.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines developing news stories that made us week. Folks, this week we're talking about politics and heading into 2025. And a lot going on at these meetings. You know, people are getting very concerned. You know, and I remember back in the day there was a conspiracy guru, Alex Jones, used to come up with all these info wars. He would talk about how he would get into all these situations. I mean, they would have deep discussions and conspiracies about politics. And right now we see a lot of people, you know, they need deals, they need government help, and they don't want government programs to end, and so a lot of stuff is going on. But I mean, could you imagine what goes on at some of these meetings, you know, especially when you got to kill a dictator or you got to go to another country and infiltrate? And I mean, this is not like the family dinner table. You know, you're probably talking with assassins, and this is a tough business. And it kind of makes you wonder if because in the conspiracy, they're talking about how you know, you have to be literally Satan to be in a leadership position, because you have to see people die, you have to drop bombs. It's scary stuff. So it makes you wonder around when you go to these parties, you know, especially when you're a political party, you may be feeling good and come to the party and think you're gonna get down and dance with one of these politicians and shoot the bull, and all of a sudden you realize that there's a plot to kill you. You know, it'd probably be scary. You know, you sitting there around the dinner table and they eating somebody's guts at the dinner table. Oh Lord, that's how scary it probably can get at some of these political rallies. You know, some of these got people be cheering, I love you. Next thing you know, the politicians just pull out a gun and start killing everyone. I mean, that's not what you don't want to think, but this is the conspiracies. You know, people make you think like these people are evil, like are they? You know, they're not human beings, but this is what the talk is about. You know, this political stuff is serious, because people wonder why people disappear in other countries. You know, how people die, and so as headed into 2025, this is going to be a serious political year, because you got some serious people on the move making some major moves. That's why we got to worry, you know. So I'm wondering, you know, when you vote, you got to be thinking, like, are you voting for Satan? Because when you look at a politician, you be like, what would Jesus do? I don't know if Jesus would drop a bomb on a nation. I don't know, but that's the field of politics. It's a different avenue, and it makes you wonder, is there a heaven for a politician? Whew. Scary stuff we get into in 2025, folks. Let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Speaking of politicians, Trump has a lot of people at the bargaining table already. Mar-a-Lago has been a popular spot lately within business leaders from all over who are meeting with Trump now, especially in a push to get more federal workers spending from their offices in D.C. They basically want more federal workers back in the office. Now, a president and businessman who has labeled himself as a deal maker now has everyone at the table. This is real. Trump's tariffs and policies when it comes to revamping the retail and car business is what has this story trending. That's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2, why the outage in Puerto Rico should have you concerned. Puerto Rico has remained in quite a few headlines recently. This is after the most recent headline in NBC News, which crapped in to what appears to be a blackout after half of Puerto Rico began the new year in the dark due to a massive power outage. Now, this story should resonate with Texans who experienced a power grid failure sometime back, giving backup alternative energy the ultimate test to make a statement, which that test failed. Now, already in the winter months up north, these stories should have every state examining what if scenarios, just in case something happens, and be on guard when it comes to our high dependence on electricity. Now, a high inventory of backup generators remain a popular item as mentioned, or solution, as this was mentioned in a report by NPR. Now, although this problem is being worked out, the story shot to the top of the pile due to the extensive length of what all took place in the report, folks. The story is still trending. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Story number 3, will gun laws work? Even with violent crime rates falling, gun violence is still a top concern nationwide. In 2024, there have been and nearly 500 mass shootings, if you did not know, in America. Now, this is according to a USA Today report with a headline explaining how new gun laws will be rolling out in multiple states. Now, 3 measures are strengthening the rules against applying for handguns, which is also mentioned in the report according to AB 1483. Now, one measure, AB 1598, even requires firearm dealers to provide consumers with a pamphlet covering the reasons for the risk of firearm ownerships. AB 2917 gives the court authority to expand considerations for a gun violence restraining order to include threats of violence with an emphasis on hate-based threats, folks. These are all the steps being taken, folks. This story is still developing. Story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4: worker abuse is back in top headlines. Reuters has a report explaining how Chinese workers have been found in slave-like conditions in Brazil. The cool down explains how government officials are under fire after reports uncover modern-day exploitation of farmers. Folks, the report talks about pesticide neglect and now puts the news surrounding workers back in the spotlight. The Amazon worker demands, well, the Amazon, the shipping company worker and the online retail shipping company says that the workers are still making demands, and this still has the story trending because they're wanting to unionize and all this other stuff. Now, such stories could increase worker awareness at the start of the new year because people need a paycheck to fight inflation and high prices, folks, higher wages. Everybody's talking about it. Well, folks, are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I brought back the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. The Mediator with me, Brian West. I'll be right back. Tune in to Method Ace YouTube channel to check out the top interviews that made it throughout the years and months. Visit method88.com. Check out all the community interviews if you want to check it out. Method88.com. Buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program. Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, we're in 2025, and I always tell people, it's cannot forget about the waitresses and the waiters and tipping them. And one thing about me is I run such a tight budget here that sometimes I don't have extra money to tip, but I'm learning to tip what I can. And I feel for the waiters. I took my mother out to eat, and oh man, this one waiter, she was real bold, because I know they're tired, they're running around and serving tables and cleaning off tables. So after we got done eating, this is the first time this had happened. She looked at the receipt and she pointed to the tip area. She made sure she wanted to let me know, brother, you got to tip me. And I looked at her, and I didn't take offense to it, but waiters, they gotta make a living too. And she looked at me, and tip me. You gotta tip me. She was I was at a Chinese food restaurant, and they work just as hard as other restaurants. And when I seen the look on her face, I knew she meant business. And it got so quiet in the restaurant when I did something underneath, talking to my mother, and we all jiving, and once everything calmed down, it was me and her, and she squared up with me, and restaurant got real quiet. And she just looked at the receipt and showed me the percentage. They had a little percentage on there, 15, 20, 25, and she just no BSing around, gave me a straight look in my face, and then when I filled it out, she took it. Thank you for your time. Left and went back and collected her money. And waiters are getting like that now. They're getting on social media, telling people, about their tips. So that's the benefit and the pros and cons of going to a restaurant nowadays is you got to see a waiter, and sometimes you got to wine and dine them, take them out to eat, and pay for their tips. And you might walk out of there with a date just in case if you do tip. So that's this message this week is headed into the new year. We can't forget about the waitresses and the waiters and the bartenders and the people who are in the hospitality business. Whew. It's like running a night shift. I made a little song about it. Me and you as a waiter can fall in love. Me and you as a waiter can be filled with love. Woo! Headed into 2025, don't forget about the waiters. I like the bartender. Let's waste no time, folks. Let's get to it. Story number 5, the H-1B story. The Washington Post has a report published December 28th by Will Ramos on the H-1B visa story, which allows foreign workers with foreigners with technical skills to temporarily work in the United States. Now, Trump, who likes the program, has been in the spotlight due to his harsh stance on immigration. Now, the entire piece shows Trump's empire, which is held up by many H-1B visa workers, H-2A visa workers and H-2B visa workers. Now, the article gives readers the sense that something isn't right, according to businesses who specialize in business immigration. Now, whatever Trump's plan is, it seems that his main focus may be on those breaking the law rather than those following law. Now, but even these workers have become an important piece. The ones who are breaking the law have become an important piece in the working fabric of America. This story is still developing, with a lot of people eyeing Trump's first move on immigration. That's why story number 5 made it. Story number 6, the abandoned baby story, is back in top headlines. The Washington Post has a report explaining how the baby in the dumpster syndrome is creeping back into the headlines after a spat of abandoned newborns have been found in Texas. Now, this echoes the age before Roe versus Wade. The symptoms of these headlines come from a range of issues that have to do with family, finances, and a breakdown of policy-linked programs that are either failing or neglected. Now, this also puts the spotlight on the nonprofit sector, with lags in orphanages and places to care for abandoned children. Now, this story could be rekindling the fire of some old religious organizations that was thought to be extinct. Now, the entire article puts the reader inside of what has caused at least 18 babies to have been abandoned this year headed into 2025, with the latest, last year now headed into 2025, with the latest occurring right before Christmas at a Whataburger in San Antonio. Now, this story is gaining steam because at the moment, Texas is ranked next to last for women's health and reproductive care. This is according to the nonprofit Commonwealth Fund reference in the report. Common Fund that is referenced in the report. Like I said, this echoes the age before Roe versus Wade. This whole story. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big B. Story number 7 and the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week for the U. To keep you informed, if you don't get up this early, you can check out the show. I do upload it to the website on Mondays. So on the website, that's on the screen. You can check it out. Upload to our YouTube page if you want to check it out on Mondays if you don't get up this early. Story number 7. Is there a solution for homelessness? Now, USA Today reports that homelessness rates have jumped by double digits in 2024 due to America's problem with affordable housing, the lack of it. Now, this one article has the real estate business in the spotlight and could expose some flaws in the system. Now, the report lays out a staggering number, with more than 771,800 people out on the street. That's what the report says. Now, the story is gaining steam. But has been on the radar for quite some time. That's why story number 7 also made it to the top this week. Big B. Story number 8 and the top international headline and developing news story that made this week for the U. To keep you informed, that is all I'm in here for, folks, is to keep you informed. If you do want to show the show some support, all you do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program, or you can stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman or Youngstown, Ohio. Story number 8, safety and terror is back on the concern list yet again in 2025. Of course, has a report that's talking about explosions at Tyson Foods in Georgia. That's safety. They're talking about how some people were injured and some people were in this explosion. Some people got hurt. 2 possible terrorist attacks, with one involving a Tesla Cybertruck exploding outside of a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. This is all in a USHA report. Some people got killed and some people got injured. This is in some terrorist attacks that have made headlines. Now, Yahoo News has an AP reporting on 15 people that were hurt in Florida when a train hit a fire truck, and the Wall Street Journal has a report on how at least 15 other people have been killed in New Orleans in what the FBI calls a terrorist attack. This is after a man in a pickup truck while he was driving a pickup truck while flying the Islamic State flag, he plowed into a large crowd on New Year's Day in the New Orleans French Quarter, while also injuring more than 30 people, thus getting safety and terror back on the radar at the beginning of 2025. And that's why the story made it to the top, because we've been seeing these vibes quite a bit in this transition period, folks. Let's hope things transition better. Well, folks, there are top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that I made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out doing the research. As usual, I thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines. You deserve all the credit. I'm just the mediator, the man in the middle, navigating your stories just to keep people informed. If you do want to show us some support here at Method, it doesn't take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor a program, or you stop at the store at 5648 Market Street in Boardman or Youngstown, Ohio. See my smiling face. Well, folks, I am out of here. Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in to the Mediator this week with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.